Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ambient Afternoons. Appreciate all y'all. Make sure you hit that like button wherever you are. Appreciate all y'all hanging out with me. So, what I was kind of doing there, if you've been following me for a while, a little bit, um, if you haven't, let's get you caught up. So pretty much, I have this main pedal board here, and I'm starting to incorporate MIDI. So that's one of the patches that I was able to make relatively easy and program that in there. So now I can do things like switch sounds, even go to the directly to the synth. Sorry, you get caught up just having fun with the different patches because they're so easy to get to now. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with pedal boards or not, but it would take so many clicks and button switches to get to that sound before just the basic, just to be able to get to. Now, fortunately, I can do things like hit one on. Well, can you see the MIDI captain? Let's go to the pedal board here. So I do have a MIDI captain on the floor. I don't think it's on camera there. So, but allows me to go from that to, which is mostly changing the ambient sounds, but because I have the Mel 9 in the mix, that also is effect. But I can also just take it out the mix there because this loop is the Mel 9, Key 9, Rav Sitar, and the V256 vocoder. So just taking out, if I want to take all that out, I can just take it out with one switch, or I could just go ahead and take out the actual Mel 9 itself. But for the most part, I actually like that. So let's do something like that. Let's try. The new Digitech Jam Solo HD is definitely a step up from the XT, which is right next to it. So just so we have a good comparison real quick before I get into that little jam there. Sometimes looking at the specs, it's hard to tell what loopers are, and the difference between the Solo Jam Solo, which is this one, HD, and the XT is the XT is pretty much processing things at a lower sample rate and at a lower audio to digital conversion, right? So the Jam Solo HD, all of these loopers here are true bypass, which is amazing. But let's just hear the actual sound quality difference because this, while they store the files, both of them store them in 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz, which doesn't sound like much, but that's CD quality, which is still better than all the streaming services. So, but but you can hear the clarity in that. That sounds like I was playing it. All right, so let's do. So that's the XT. Here's the HD. XT. So there is a difference there. It doesn't. It's noticeable, especially when you go to transfer that file out. Say like you're like me, use your looper like a notepad. Then you kind of want to have those sounds be clean, because the way I do the looping is I'll take that right. I'll take that little line there. Let me clear this one. Clear that. All right, and I will store it in slot 10, and store it in slot 11. So when I'm storing it in these different slots like this, it allows me to have access to the original idea. But then I can just build upon it on the overdub. So no matter what, if I want to go back and have that original sample, it's there. But then when I want to add some bass lines to it, you know. You can do So if you haven't already, hit that like button wherever you are. You know, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. So again, welcome to Ambient Afternoons if you're just joining. So this time a day or this particular type of session, I just do improvisation or ambient music, and I try to explain a few things along the way, such as what I got going on with the pedal board and how I get to these different sounds. And as you can see, if you've been following me, I'm able to get to them a lot faster now. And, you know, how am I doing that? A big key to that is the CME H2 MIDI Pro, right? And of course, I'm not endorsed by any of these companies that I mentioned, or any of these pedals and stuff I use, or any of this gear. This is gear I like. I buy it. I review it. If I like it, I keep it. If I don't like it, I'm sending it back. I don't play with them, because it's, you know, when you're spending your money, you ain't got time to play with folks like that. But, and what's going on? Appreciate y'all stopping by. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. All the love. Feel free to comment and like and share all that good stuff. And make sure you subscribe before you go. I know these are longer sessions, so sometimes it's hard to hang in there the entire session, but I appreciate y'all nonetheless. And if you want to support the channel more, check out the Patreon, and you can get some of my settings, presets for different pedals, like some of those synth-based settings and synth settings for the C4 synth, the MS-60B plus, MS-70 CDR plus, the what is it? I got 11 different preamps for the ToneX one, along with my personal preset list for that as well, all on the Patreon. But enough of that. Cash App, Super Chat, Super Thanks. But appreciate all the love on the different platforms. So, yeah, so I have all this running through MIDI, and that little box there pretty much, hold on, let me switch to the pedal board view so you guys get a better view of the pedal board. So this little box here pretty much facilitates all the changes. And I have a MIDI captain here on the floor, which helps me bypass things. Like right now, this is just my normal bass. Hold up now. But yeah, so you can't see the MIDI captain on the floor, unfortunately, but what you can see is the different pedals changing as I press the foot switch. You'll see different pedals casually blinking on and off. Some of these pedals I have set up for various things. So like I said, everything from going from the solo stuff to just my normal bass sound. Typically have a compressor on and preamp. So from that to solo sounds. Also do a little bit of rhythm type stuff with that setting as well. So that setting is good for just straight up tapping stuff. If I want to, let's see. Let me get this out of the way. that setting is good for a lot of different stuff, or just if I just take it up just so you know, it's good for all that type of stuff. And if I press it twice, kicks on my favorite octave sound. So, you know, these little features like this, they don't seem like much, but if you haven't noticed, I've been switching sounds. I've switched to pretty much 3 different sounds. Oh, sorry about this. Got this cranked up pretty high. My normal bass sound, solo. You get that nice delay reverb, a little bit of chorus on there. As well as solo sound, or sound I can just use to lay down some chords. Beautiful. So synth bass, or just, you know, lots of bass options. So it's not just the having sounds, it's the ability to get to them in a show that makes it really difficult. Appreciate that. Appreciate the love. Appreciate it. You know, it's one thing to have the sounds, right? You know, it's one thing to be able to have this sound, or and I did that with the same foot switch. So let me see. Let me go and put this up here. Well, I can't. You're not gonna be able to see it anyway. Let me adjust this camera real quick so you. Or you know what? I'll just sit it right there for now. Can we see that? No, we can't. So let's see. Let's try to get that on camera here. Let me make a quick adjustment. Just because I know it's awkward trying to see what I'm talking about. There. Let's take that to 0. All right. And let's do this. Bam, bam. All right, there we go. That should be better for you guys. I would love to. It looks like somebody has a question, but it's not particularly in English. You know, I don't speak. I'm not, you know, anything other than English. So, if you could translate that for me and then repost that comment, I could try to answer your question for you. But right. So let's finish getting situated here. All right, we good. So, let's see. All right, we good. Yeah. So the MIDI captain here pretty much allows me to just, with the same foot switch between on the C4, it'll turn the C4 off and turn on the Hog 2 at the same time. And It'll turn off the Hog 2 and turn on the C4 synth at the same time. And it's simultaneously changing the MS-60B plus, the MS-70CDR plus, and it's changing the HX1. All with that one press of a foot switch. And I still could do more things in there. It gives you 6, so when you press the button, you get up to 6 different actions it can do. And then when you release the button, it also has another 6 actions it can do. So you can have 6 separate actions for just the press down, 6 separate actions for the release of it. And what that allows you to do is basically have 12 things you can do with just simply pressing and releasing. Press and release. And it's in 12 different commands and change, different things. That makes this super awesome. Even if I want to get, have my envelope filter get funky, I love the low pass filter on the MS-70 CDR Plus. It is very much very, very nice for it to be a digital filter, right? And it's very Moog-esque, it got that Moog sound to it. So I definitely love it. Definitely love that filter in there. So and mind you, like I said, I have a whole pack for the MS-70 CDR Plus, and that includes bass patches, presets, as well as pads. So you can get a lot of these same sounds you're hearing, you can actually immediately have access to through the different units. Or if you have these same exact units by chance, a lot of us are going to end up having an HX1 and a MS-70 CDR Plus or a plethora X1, So, or this MS-60B, Plus is also an amazing unit, so definitely check them out. But it is, like I said, it is very convenient being able to just pull all this different stuff out and have it be readily available. And then it's things like I have multiple shimmer reverbs, so I can easily switch those out. So yeah, it's like it's like when you incorporate the MIDI, it's almost like turning the entire pedal board into like a big multi effects unit. Like it's like a big like that B6. I can just flip through patches and presets, and some of you HX Stomp users and Helix users, as well as whatever effects, head rush, whatever effects unit you may be using, multi effects. It one of the things about it that makes it awesome is one, all the effects are already talking to each other because they're in the same unit. So you don't have to try to sync up things and things like that. For the most part, everything's synced together. You can just switch from patch or snapshot or whatever they call it to the next one. Compared to a pedal board, you end up doing, even if you do have these like effects loops where I have the pedal board separated into segments in each loop. So like first loop is like all my octavers and the spectrum and the C4 synth and just the deep freeze, stuff like that. It's even with having that, it just allows, it ends up being a lot of tap dancing compared to being able to leave things on. Most of these pedals are true bypass, plus this OC5 is a buffered pedal, so it's good to have at the beginning of your chain, which it is. It's the second pedal in, so it can push all the rest of the effects, and then it's buffered out on a Plethora X1. Hold on, guys, give me 1 second. I will be right back. Let me see what we got here. What can we listen to? Just give me 1 second. hit that like button for me. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Make sure you hit that like button. So, appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I do these a couple times a week. You know, I go live, and then I just kind of do ambient stuff. That was a little bit more on the funk side of the game, but you know, try to switch it up for you guys. You guys were kind enough to wait for me to come back, and you know, hey, I want to give you guys something a little bit more funky, wake you up for the day. I know some of you guys are working, some of you guys are doing other things other than just listening, but I do appreciate you staying tuned, you know, on the different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, yeah. So make sure you hit that like button. If you want to support the channel more, you can do that through Patreon. You can go there, you can subscribe, or you can grab some preset packs for the different pedals. You see here the digital pedals have, have different packs on there. If you want to hit something in the Cash App, Super Chat, you know, send a little tip. I definitely appreciate you. But other than that, so where we left off before, you know, I had to take a little quick step away. Adding the MIDI is going to allow you to get to like all that different stuff on stage. Like having a huge pedal board like this, it's going to allow you to get to everything, like, and actually make it usable. Like, it's one thing to have all these pedals, but it's another thing to try to get to all these different sounds. Like, I need pads, I need bass lines, I need drum sounds, I need, you know, string sounds, keyboard sounds, you know, organ sounds. I need all these different sounds. And they are, if I was just playing bass on a gig, it was different. You know, it's different. I don't take all this just to play bass on a gig, right? I could do several things. Sometimes I just take the Empress compressor, because you take that Empress compressor and then you put that on the what's that, the Tone Plus Color, and it'll cut around the 500. So it's pretty much gonna scoop it where I would scoop it anyway, and it adds a little bit of coloring. Let me give you a demonstration of that by itself. don't know why I did all that. See, I'm not even used to the system yet. I'm still used to clicking. You see, I'm over here just a clicking. I could have just did bow. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even used to it. And I'm also, I ordered a MIDI effects loop. So these passive ones aren't going to be as prevalent. I'm actually going to have a MIDI effects loop switcher. It's going to have 8 different effects loop, and I'll be able to switch them via MIDI. So even the pedals that don't have MIDI, I get to put 8 of these pedals on separate effects loops and switch them in and out with the same way I'm switching the other pedals in and out, which is going to give me even more flexibility. But yeah, if I just want to go to a gig, I can just take the that sounds perfectly fine for any gig. So I can do a lot more stuff just from my bass and just run that if I'm just running bass. That's, just an example. But so with that, or I can take just the ToneX and have different preamps available to me. I can take an actual analog preamp, but I don't have to take all this stuff, right? But for the solo gigs and for my gigs, like as an artist, I do gigs, I do have a band, and all that stuff, and I do solo gigs, I do duo gigs, I do trio gigs, I do whatever number they got the budget for. You know what I'm saying? If they got the budget, I can do. I'll be up to a 7-piece band, 8-piece band, depending on what the budget is. But just doing the solo gigs, right? And just doing gigs where like the smaller ensemble gigs, the smaller the ensemble, the more ground you got to kind of cover. Each member has to cover, in order to make it feel full and like a full band is playing. So having these pedals allow me to do that, have all these access to all these different sounds. I can also loop, and I can loop. All this is in stereo. So all this is in mono all the way till we get to these last 3 pedals here. Then from here, these 3 pedals and onto the jam mans and all that stuff is stereo, and the Atlas compressor running into the mixer, that's all stereo. So, but having access to these sounds and being able to loop them live and get to them quickly, I can't stress how much anxiety that's going to take out of my show, me doing it myself. Like when I have to do these solo shows, like one of the biggest things I hate is sometimes I have to take just an extra second to think about, okay, click this, and this. And sometimes I don't even get everything on before I'm ready to come back in. So I got to just come back in and start playing. And then I ain't even clicked on everything because, as you can see, sometimes one sound might be 8 pedals. So, knowing that, to make my life easier, I said I'm going to use this H2 MIDI Pro. Let me switch to the pedal board here. So I'm going to use this H2 MIDI Pro there's a USB hub that I have underneath the board that I can run up to 8, 8, yeah. It's up to, is it 6 or 8? It's either 6 or 8 USB MIDI devices I can do at once, right? And I can also chain things together like through MIDI as well. So I have the MIDI out right there because it has 5-pin MIDI ports as well. I have that running to the what is that, the V256 vocoder. And then I have from the USB hub, I have the C4 synth, the MS-60B plus, MS-70 CDR plus, the HX1, and from the HX1 I have a daisy chain out through from there to the Hog 2. And the way I can control all of these is all of them are on separate MIDI channels. So Hog 2 has on MIDI channel 1, the HX1 is on MIDI channel 2, the C4 synth is on MIDI channel 3, MS-70 CDR plus is on channel 4, channel 5 is the MS-60B plus, and the V256 is channel 16. So I still have all those MIDI channels in between there to assign things to. Like I'm gonna get a Luminite screen, and that's gonna allow me to have touch screen abilities and have an actual screen to tell me which patch I'm on MIDI wise. And it's gonna allow me to set up and facilitate all this. I might not actually end up using the H2 MIDI Pro at all once I get the Luminex, but if you going on the cheaper side, you could get this for like $50. It's H2, the CME H2 MIDI Pro, and that control a bunch of different pedals. And then you can get something like a Mvave Chocolate, or or one of those cheaper MIDI controller pedals, and control all your different pedals and patches and assign them to different things. Or you can get a MIDI Captain, and you can have all these different modes, and it's got the super mode, it's got the geek mode, and all this other stuff where I can assign a bunch of different stuff to different parameters. I can assign expression pedals to different stuff. When I say MIDI seems complicated, but it's really not. It's really not that complicated. It's just you have to know, the same way you have to know how to route your pedals and how to write, how everything is set up, you have to know how to route your MIDI. And bonus is that MIDI, it doesn't matter what pedal order you put it in. As long as you daisy chain them all together and put them on different MIDI channels, it doesn't even matter what order you put them in the MIDI. Now, I will say, I'm powering this H2 MIDI Pro off of the Pedalboard's power supply, right? So that's, you have to use it on an isolated power supply. So that's going to be important, because if you don't, then, and you put it on a regular old power supply, like I got a Moore power, I got two CS12 by one spot, those power bricks underneath here, as well as a Moore power supply. The Moore one isn't isolated. So it's essentially like a daisy chain type thing, like the original one spot daisy chain type thing, but it's in a box. Now, I had this MIDI H2 MIDI Pro on there, and it was causing a lot of noise into my signal. But I had to end up putting it on an isolated output of a CS12, so it would, it wouldn't be sending all this extra noise through all of my other pedals, so, or causing extra noise through my other pedals. Because the hardest thing with building a pedal board is to get it to be quiet, which is crazy, because you put it all together to make noise, and then you spend all this time trying to make it be quiet, like you're not playing, which is funny. But at the same time, if you build all your cables, minimize cable length. That's why I build all my cables myself personally, because I try to minimize the cable length between pedals. And good power supplies. That's why I use the CS12s. Like, it's literally $500 worth of power, $550 really worth of power supplies just for this one board. And that's just so you can have clean sound, clean power, protect the pedals wherever you go. If you go somewhere and they got shaky power, you don't want to hook up all these expensive pedals to to some shaky power and potentially, hurt them, in some way, shape, or form. But, and it just ensures that you, no matter what, event you're at, somebody's house or some big venue where they got all these lights, it just ensures that they get a nice clean signal. But yeah, that's the key. I'm sorry, I'm in the habit of, y'all gonna have to get used to me a little bit with this. I kind of like to play while I talk. The more I play, the longer I can give y'all information for some reason. It's just how I am. I like to, I'm one of those people that's more comfortable with an instrument in my hand than anything, But yeah, so when you go to do a solo gig, right? So I don't know if any of you guys are into ambient stuff or doing solo gigs or smaller ensembles like duos or trios, but you'll say it's you, a drummer, and a horn player, right? That leaves a lot of space for you to, not just play bass parts. Right? You got all this space here. Right, you could just do that, but if you got these effects pedals, now you got access to guitar part. You got space for that, and especially if you got a looper. If your band can play with a looper, if y'all got good timing, this is something you could consider. Save a little money, invite a few less band members to perform, and make a little bit more cash. But, so now you can easily. Think like an orchestra, a keyboard player. In church, so I like to have. Sometimes I like to have that organ sound in there. different stuff, you know. Because in reality, this is reality. People don't need much more than that to dance. They need that bass line right there. Bass lines are simple. A lot of times we want to fancy them up and do all this extra stuff. A lot of times unnecessarily, and it doesn't always feel good. Like, you know, if people are dancing, you want to do minimum, right? You know, as a bassist, you want to just play the part, really. You know, don't try to be Mr. Fancy Pants while everybody trying to dance, because guess what? That takes them from dancing. But if you give them that space to dance, they'll love you as a bass player, which is crazy. Sometimes you'll earn more respect and more love and more adoration by doing less on bass. But when it comes time to solo, have at it. Right, you do whatever you want to do when you're soloing, but that's all people need right there. That's what it boiled down to. If you think about it, it's almost like a clock. That metronome. But the drums just kind of break it up to where it feels like it's different parts. So keeping all that in mind, it's going to help you create better loops. And just, you know, even if you're doing ambient music or whatever type of music, you know, understanding the role of each part is going to allow you to create sounds better, like getting to those string sounds, getting to those keyboard sounds, the guitar sounds, you know, understanding when you go to that sound, understand how that works in the grand scheme of the music. You know, it's not just, oh, I got a bunch of sounds, let me pull out a flute sound when I'm supposed to be playing bass. That's crazy. That's crazy work. Don't ever do that. You'll be fired, and they're going to laugh at you. I'm going to tell you that now. So when it's time to play bass, go ahead and play bass. When it's time to step out, you can pull out that flute sound for your solo, you know what I'm saying? Or you can pull out that guitar sound if there's no guitarist there. You know, I try not to pull out my rock guitar sound and my funk guitar sounds when there's a guitarist there, because sometimes people take that personal. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you trying to play you think I can't play my part? I don't need you to play my part. And I understand it, because it's annoying when a keyboard player plays their left hand bass lines. Like, I don't need you to do that. I know the bass line. Why don't you play two-handed chords? And now we got full of chords up top. So, you know, you just want to understand your role and whatever the sound role that you're using. So, if, like I said, when I'm using a pad, I'm using that to fill out a lot of the extra space in the song. I'm not usually using it as the main sound. So it's just something that fills in all this ambient space while I'm using sounds like bass and the kick drum as foundation, you know. And we talked about the drums just straight. You already know what time it is. You hear that? It's time to get funky, or it's time to do something fun. You know what I'm saying? So keeping that little stuff in mind, and keeping you got to use a little bit of psychology when you're playing music. Like, you got to think about what will best get people involved and get people, you know, serve the groove or serve the event or serve the people. It's not really about what you want to play, you know what I'm saying, necessarily. all the time. You know, as an artist, you do have plenty of times where it's about what you want to play, but a lot of times, especially as a bassist, you want to keep in mind that yeah, we got all these pedals and stuff, and we doing it, but when we go on a gig, a lot of times, you know, when we're going on somebody else's gigs, 9 times out of 10, they're hiring us to really be the foundation, and because they're trusting you to be that solid foundation that they need for the group, and you know, um, I'm one of those bass players where, you know, you may, you, I'm never gonna say you're not gonna notice me. I always say that, but people, even when I just play bass, people notice me. But it's because what serves the entire song when I'm playing bass, and I make sure that I make sure I have a nice, huge, wide, warm, round bass sound. Usually, you know what I'm saying, to support the group. So you know that's why I said that Empress by itself. Well, if you don't have one, this Empress compressor right here is amazing. And it will definitely enhance like you. It's it's hard to describe. It's so warm, you know. And I love warm as a bass player. I like to be able to cut. As you hear, I don't use. I use some very bright strings. Fortunately, my bass has a really good EQ. So that's very fortunate. But you know, when you add things like that compressor to your sound is gonna, you know, really glue it together. And you know, I prefer this. This is another little tip too. When you're looping, right? So you want to keep in mind the EQ of each instrument, like where it belongs sonically, like the bass part. You know, I don't typically go for like this super MIDI sound when I'm playing bass for a lot of groups. You know, I hear a lot of bass players do that. You know, and I understand. You know, they like, well, it cuts better, and they can hear they can hear every little thing I'm doing. But sometimes for me, when you cut, like a lot of times I'm not even boosting my treble and my bass right here. I'm keeping these flat, and I might just cut the low mids a little bit on my bass, and just for slap sound, you know. That's pretty much get you most of the way right there, you know. Might boost them just a smidge. But ultimately, people they can hear what you're doing, but when I'm playing with the entire group, you're still going to, you know, have a good support EQ for them, for the bass aspect of it. Now, when you go to do like your pads and stuff, you can actually cut the bass frequencies, like on the MS-70 CDR Plus. On like some of my pad sounds, I have an EQ on them, and I roll off the bass, and I might boost like certain upper mid frequencies or high frequencies, so those cut more for that particular sound. And then same thing with the guitar sounds and any sounds other than the bass sound and the kick drum sound, I pretty much would roll off the bass sound, you know, and then that allow that sound to sit better in a mix of other sounds. So, you know, mainly, you know, you want to, for mixing purposes, you know, if you boosted a little bit around 100 for the bass, and boosted on the contrary around 40 for the kick, you know that definitely helps out. Or just boosting like not boosting the lower sub bass frequencies, but like that 190, 80 hertz range, boosting right there for the bass, and then letting the kick drum keep that lower sub frequencies. And then, having things like the keys, the key parts or the pad parts, having those be in more of the low mid, high mid range of sounds, and then give yourself some room in the higher mids and the highs for your solo sounds. And same thing with the guitar part. You want to find, like, you don't want to boost everything at the same frequencies. That's the other thing. So you don't want to have all the sounds boosted at 1,000, or 1 kilohertz. You know what I'm saying? Or 1,000 hertz. You don't want them all boosted right there, because then there's going to be a buildup right there. Then you got to deal with that. So another little tip is to keep a compressor, like limiter, EQ type thing. And I use the Atlas. I use the Atlas compressor for that. An amazing compressor. And what the Atlas compressor allows you to do, right? It's got you can have dual compression on each channel, right? Or you can have separate compressors on each channel. It's running stereo, so left and right. And you can have EQ. You can have all these different routing things. It's just an amazing compression pedal. And that and the Empress are going to run around the same price. So if you need a stereo compressor, that Atlas definitely works out well for you. And what I do, I like to have the 1173 and the tube compressor. So the 1173 is going to do like a 10-to-1 ratio, and then I'll have like that run into a tube compressor that isn't doing any compression. It's just coloring it, adding warmth to for the tube compression sound. And then that's running into an EQ, where I did some additional EQing. Let me see. It's just a compressor. The gain too much with the kick and all that stuff. Then I got the same setting with the EQ, additional EQ. Where I added some clarity and some bottom. Essentially making it like almost like a portable mastering strip. After I've done all the recording and everything and the jam bands, now I can glue it all together with a nice, with some nice limiting and compression, along with the nice additional EQ when I want it at times. So, it makes a difference. It just depends on the room you're in and what system I'm using. Because a lot of times I'm taking double amps. I'm taking 2 amps to get that stereo sound when I'm doing duo gigs or solo gigs, and it just fills out the room more when you have 2 amps like that spread apart and you got a nice stereo image of the entire thing. It just sounds good. But with that, consistency, because I don't actually use the same cabinets for both sides. Like, I'm not using an identical system. Like, I might use like my Harkey 210s, and I might take like a Gallion Kruger 115 or something like that, or I might take the Jens Benz. What did I take last time? I took the Ampeg 210s, and then I took the Harkey 210s, and I let those just have a nice stereo image. So that with that, I want to have EQ options and compression options for the entire, like, I don't have a sound guy. I don't have a sound guy for this type of stuff. He's usually smaller, like country club gigs, cafe gigs, so you don't really have a sound guy. But having the ability to compress and EQ and have that as a, like you have a sound man, like almost like a portable sound man, is amazing. So that's something to look into. So what have we learned today, guys? Add a compressor at the end of your chain if you're going to use a looper, and that definitely allows you to have control over that final sound and make it really polished sounding, But yeah, so yeah, MIDI is definitely something that I'm increasingly getting into. Like I said before, just check it out when you get a chance. There's plenty of videos on MIDI and how you can incorporate it into your pedal board. But it's definitely useful. It's worth the hassle. It will, once it's all the work on the front end, but it's it's business in the front, party in the back. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like on the front end, you're gonna do all the work to set it up, all the little tinkering and stuff. But when you go to perform, and I can just step on these and just go to different sounds, it's gonna make my life so much easier, especially because I'm looping. So guys, that's all I'm gonna do for now. I will be back later, you know, and to do another session. But make sure you guys hit that like button wherever you are, subscribe wherever you are. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Check out my Patreon. Make sure you check out that Patreon and see what we got going on over there. As well as you want to support the channel, you can do that there. I'm gonna leave super chat, cash app. I greatly appreciate it. $1, $2. It ain't gotta be a mountain of money, but I appreciate it all. So make sure you check all that stuff out. And go to my allbasscreations.bandcamp page and check out my original music as well. All my original music is on there. But yeah, other than that, this has been another episode of Ambient Afternoons. Thank you guys for joining me. I will catch you guys next time. Remember, like, subscribe, share it.